Welcome to our video lesson on multiplying polynomials by monomials. Now that sounds like a really complicated title. However, what this means is how can we simplify an expression that looks like this: negative 3x times 6x squared plus 3x minus 1. Now we're not going to start with this one. The first method you can use is algebra tiles. Now some of you like to use algebra tiles and others don't. However, it's good for you to know that you can use them. The steps over here are exactly the same steps you used when multiplying monomials by monomials. So in our last lesson, we talked about how to multiply x times 3x without this plus 2. Well, now we're adding a plus 2 in it. So our steps haven't changed. Our first step is to represent one factor along one dimension. So we're going to represent our x here, and we're going to represent it along this dimension here. The next step is to represent the other factor, this factor here, along my other dimension. So here I have 3x, 1, 2, 3, plus 2. The last step is to fill the center of the rectangle with the area of each set of factors. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is x, and this is x. What algebra tile can I put in the middle there to fill that space? Hopefully you see that it's an x squared tile. The next one will also be an x squared tile, and the next one, an x squared tile. Now is when it changes a little bit. We have a 1 times an x. So 1 times x is 1x. And hopefully you can see how this tile fits in nicely with this tile up here and this tile over here. Again, we have another 1 times x, so that's going to be 1x. So that means that x times 3x plus 2 is equal to 3x squared plus 2x. Let's look at another example. Here we have negative 4 times 2x minus 2y. So again, we're going to start by representing one factor along one dimension. So here's our negative 4. They're white to represent the negative. And then along my other dimension, I need to represent 2x minus 2y. So my 2x's are these ones here. They're green and they're longer, whereas these are my negative 2y because they're a little bit shorter, and they're white because they're negative. Now we need to fill in our space down here. Let's do it one step at a time, one block at a time. Well, this is negative 1 times x. So that gives us negative x. Then again, we have another negative 1 times x, so it's going to be, here. So we fill them all in because they're all the same. So negative 1 times x gives me negative x, negative x, negative x, negative x. Our next group here is going to be the same because, again, we have an x times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. So it's all the same. All right, here's when it gets a little different. Here we have negative y times negative 1. Well, negative y times negative 1 is going to give us positive y. And then again, it's the same thing 3 more times. And the last one is exactly the same. So that means that negative 4 times 2x minus 2y is equal to negative 8x plus 4y. So here's how we do it using algebra tiles. Now let's look how to do it algebraically. One thing I want you to notice here, if I took negative 4, and multiplied it by 2x, I would get negative 8x. And if I took negative 4 and multiplied it by negative 2y, well, negative 4 times negative 2, well, this should be 8. It should be 8y. Sorry about that, because there's 8 down here. Hopefully someone caught that before I did right now. So negative 4 times negative 2 will give me positive 8 and positive 8y. So hopefully you can see that what we've done is we've multiplied negative 4 by the 2 and then the negative 4 by the negative 2y. And this is called the distributive property. So when we're doing this algebraically, we do something called the distributive property. I like this representation of it right here using Angry Birds. So here we have bluebird times the green pig plus the green pig with the helmet plus the green pig without the helmet. So the bluebird times the green pig will be bluebird times green pig with helmet plus the bluebird times the pig without the helmet. So here's an example using algebra. 5 times m times 12 is the same as 5 times m and 5 times 12. This should be a plus sign. So this should 5m plus 5 times 12. So it would be simplified to 5m plus 60. Let's do it over here. I like to use the rainbows or arrows to represent this so that you don't forget to multiply it by something. So this would be 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12x. And then 4 times negative 5. Well, 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. And so this simplified is 12x minus 20. Let's do the next one. Again, we're going to multiply it by each set of terms. So negative 7y times 2x gives me negative 14xy. Then I have negative 7y times negative 4y. Well, negative times negative gives me a positive. And 7 times 4 is 28. And then y times y will be y squared. So negative 7y times 2x minus 4y is equal to negative 14xy plus 28y squared. The next one, we have 2x times 6x squared plus 3x minus 1. So again, we distribute it between all of them. So 2x times 6x squared, so 2 times 6 gives me 12. And x times x squared is going to give me x cubed. Plus 2x times 3x. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, and x times x is x squared. Then 2x times negative 1, make sure you include that negative there. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and then there's no variable, so it'll be x. So here we have our 12x cubed plus 6x squared minus 2x. That's all for now on multiplying monomials by polynomials. I hope you have a fairly good understanding, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. That's all for now. I'll talk to you later.